All praises due to the Most High, family. We back with another Acres Anime review. I just finished watching, family, episode 1159 of One Piece. And this was a fun episode, family. I seen just some internet comments, that people weren't One Piece fans, or maybe even recent viewers, like people who are diving in maybe into this last part of the series, right? Some people did not like that. We're told, oh, we're starting the Elbaf arc, and then we end up in the Block Kingdom, not really knowing where we are. I've seen some online complaints about that. But family, it was only a few episodes. This episode in particular, I did like. It was fun. And by the end of this episode, we busted out and we know we're in Elbaf, so it was just a warm-up, family. It's just to get the feet wet first before we fully dive in, So I did enjoy the start of this season and this episode. So family, we still don't know who this guy is, right? So there's he's a giant, right? Because we know we're in Elbaf. This is a giant. And remember, family, last episode, we basically busted out of the Block Kingdom to find this giant's room, right? And then he basically chased us back in to the Block Kingdom, okay? So family, what we learned in this episode, this wasn't in order of how the episode went, but basically what we learned is that the sun god is obviously a giant. He's much larger than us. But he knows the other Elbaf giants, right? And we didn't know if he knew, why did he get us? How did we end up here, right? There's a bunch of questions. Was he targeting us? So what we found out was, and why was the Sunny missing, right? But so what we found out was this dude, obviously he has pets, right? Because last episode we took out a snake and a bird. This seemed to be a different bird, though, that retrieved the Straw Hats. So on our way to Elbaf, when we on the boat with the giants and we turning up and partying, basically we had too much to drink. We fell asleep. Not only that, we passed through the sleeping mists, right? So we extra out of it. We extra incapacitated. And in that moment, while we're, recovering from partying and being affected by the sleeping mists, this bird picks up the whole Sunny ship. And for some reason, only the Straw Hats here were on it and not the other Straw Hats, right? But so Luffy, Sanji, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Chopper, right? So this giant, we don't get his name or really see his whole face, but we see some of his face because as a sun god, he's wearing a mask, right? But we see him receive the Straw Hats and he recognizes them right away. And he basically is jealous towards the Straw Hats because a different giant, Harudin, basically made an alliance, took allegiance to Luffy, and which meant that the sun god, this particular giant we're dealing with in the Block Kingdom, he's an underling of Harudin, right? So this guy's feeling a type of way because he's like, man, we're supposed to be proud Elbaf giants. Why would we become subordinates to this puny human, being Luffy? So he's feeling a type of way. So he takes this opportunity. He's like, oh, wow, I just hit a lick. I just got these ultra rare Straw Hats and I can do what I wish with them, right? So we're inebriated. We pass through the sleeping mist. He then gives us more sleeping gas when he receives us. And then he changes our outfits and he puts us in the Black Kingdom, right? That's how we ended up where we're at. Now he's chasing us, family. Here were some of the cool moments of the episode while he's chasing us. The whole thing is he's just chasing us and we escape, right? But some of the cool moments. Zoro was he was downloading this episode in a way that he doesn't always. But so he picked up on this guy's speech habits, and he's like, hey, he's kind of talking like a samurai. Like, what's that about? You know, he's ending his sentences with Gozaru, right? Which is what some of the other samurais were doing back in the Wano kingdom. So he's like, why is he talking like a samurai? And then he mentions Harudin, and Zoro's like, Harudin? He's like, why is he bringing up Harudin? Right? So Zoro was like locked in trying to figure out who this guy was. But family, that was the intellectual part of Zoro. The other cool part of Zoro, though, and him and Sanji had a moment where the sun god, because we're riding the cat that we beat up last episode, or a couple episodes ago, we're riding him through the kingdom, running away from the sun god. So he has this staff, right, that has like a sun ring on it, but then he pulls out some metal wires and it makes it a net, like he trying to catch the cat, because we're all riding on it. So he had caught us, but then Zoro and Sanji basically break us free out of that. But the art, like they popped off on the art for that scene, right? That's what I mean by the cool moments. Because we've seen Sanji and Zoro do this time and time again. Some of the other cool moments, though, we got a cool moment really in terms of like the art from everybody except Chopper, for real. But that was Zoro and Sanji's. Usopp has like, had he used this before? It was basically a nuke, family. It was like a skull bomb green star, I think is what he called it. But he used a slingshot and it made this giant mushroom. It looked like a skull, but it was like a mushroom cloud basically. It looked crazy. He absolutely blew everything up. And Luffy was a little upset because he's trying to, it's basically a kingdom made of Legos, and Luffy's like, oh, Luffy can tell. Oh, he worked so hard on this. Let's try to break up as little of it as possible, right? But that ended pretty quickly because like the Luffy told the cat to jump while we were running, and then it fell and broke everything. That's when we got caught. Then we bust free. We're running away more. We're approaching the wall, and so Usopp's like, oh, I'm gonna blow the wall open and we can just run through. But it didn't exactly blow the wall open. But he created more damage and Luffy got on him. Hey man, like that was too much. You went too far. Nami had a cool moment where she struck this dude with lightning, and that was funny because she knows Usopp has an affinity. He very much likes the Elbaf giants, right? He looks up to them, literally and metaphorically. And so Nami's like, hey, like if he's hit, if a natural disaster happens, like we can't really blame anybody for that, right? He's like, yeah, like earthquakes, fires, you know, like tsunamis, lightning. And she's like, oh, okay. So basically she hits him with lightning, but why she was, you know, her and Sanji feel they're like particularly annoyed with this guy. So Nami's like ready to hit him with the lightning, right? Because she feels violated. Obviously, we were asleep, and then our outfits were changed, right? So Nami feels violated behind that. And Sanji is salty and jealous at that as well. But so that's when Nami hits him with the lightning. And that basically frees us up, family. And then Luffy hits us with, or frees us out of the Block Kingdom with a Gear 4 punch. Now, I was surprised at this as well. I was expecting a Gear 3rd punch, like when he just do the massive fist, right? Like we seen, was that Enies Lobby? Anyhow, I was expecting Gear 3rd, but he went Gear 4th. Let me know, family, if I'm wrong here. I think that was the first time. That's the first time I seen him like partially use Gear 4. Did I miss a previous instance of that? Please let me know. But that was interesting how he did that with Gear 4 in this episode. But basically, family, we broke free. We still don't know exactly who this guy is, but I'm sure we'll learn because he obviously knows the giants that we're familiar with. But so yeah, we busted free. I saw the preview, so we're in like some snow terrain, and we're finna meet this character Loki that I've heard about on the internet. So I'm excited, family. All praise is due to the Most High, man. One Piece is so good. Peace and love.